All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It is my pleasure to call our quarterly meeting to order of the Urban Forestry Commission. We have a really exciting agenda today, so I love that so many commissioners are here today for our meeting. A couple are absent, but this is absolutely fantastic to see everybody. We do typically do a roll call. Xavier, if you're not ready for that, that's okay. Okay, great.
All right, good morning. I'll go ahead and start the roll. Xavier here. Ryan Lopez.
Here.
Amon Danielson.
Here.
Jennifer Chandler.
Here.
Jennifer Kipp.
Here.
Daniel Lehman.
Here.
Sarah Tilley.
Here.
Sarah O'Keefe.
Here.
Tom Schreiber. I don't see him present.
I'm not here today.
Whitney Long Jones.
Here.
Jennifer Spencer.
Here.
Beck Schwab.
Here.
Richard Swatowski. I don't see Rich.
At the conference.
Laura Marks.
Here.
And Janan. Sorry, Zed.
Berard.
Sorry. Great. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Xavier. Just a couple of housekeeping things. We have some new folks today who will be sworn in, which is very exciting. So as you saw, just press the button on the mic so it's green when you want to speak. And then we are very lucky today. We have our fabulous City of Cleveland photographer, Roger Fatika, here. And Roger is going to take some impromptu photos of us here at the beginning of our meeting, and then he'll come back at 5:30. So if everyone can please stay to the very end, we will do a group photo at 5:30 upon an adjournment. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Great. Okay, well, I will, okay, I'm not going to bury the lead. The new Commissioner of Urban Forestry is here today joining us. And so we are going to spend quite a bit of time just setting aside to hear from the new commissioner and meet you. So just thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. And we'll formally introduce you later in the meeting, but welcome. Thank you so much. So, okay. So as part of the chair's update, one more housekeeping thing. Sometimes we often have the agenda printed out. Some of us have expressed a preference to have the agenda in front of us. It's up on the screen. We don't have printed versions today, but we'll keep referring back to the agenda during the course of the meeting. So as a point of reference. So we're on 3, which is chair's update. What I wanted to do today is update the full commission on the matter of vacancies, officers, and committee participation. So we have had 2 vacancies. I am absolutely thrilled to announce that the sustainability vacancy is being filled by Director Sarah O'Keefe. A number of us have served with Director O'Keefe already on this commission, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have you back. So welcome back. And then our public utility seat is being filled by Commissioner Ryan Lopez from the Division of Water Pollution Control. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So this is absolutely fantastic. We are going to have a swearing in of both commissioners, commission members a little bit later in the agenda. I'm also really pleased to share that Xavier Bay will be serving as our secretary of the commission. Per our bylaws, the committee or the commission chair appoints the secretary, and it is my extreme pleasure to do so. And I know you will be outstanding and serve us very, very well. And having watched you work, Xavier, over the years, I know how talented you are, and you've served on this commission from the beginning. So we could not have had a better choice for secretary. So thank you so much for serving in that capacity.
Thank you.
And as many of you know, and it kind of hadn't sunk in until Jennifer Kipp said something to me. This is my last meeting as a commission member. My city council term ends January 5th. And as such, this is my last formal meeting as the interim chair and as a member of this commission. So it really hasn't sunk in yet. But be that as it may, I also have served as budget committee chair, which has been a pleasure and a really productive experience. And I've been so glad to serve in that capacity. I'm also delighted to announce that Sarah Tilley will be assuming the leadership of the budget committee effective after today. So I'm thrilled about that. Thank you. And then we have one more very important matter of business related to our structure as a commission. And by the way, Cleveland City Council's email server got changed a week and a half ago to .gov. And so a lot of people have not received my emails. Just there's a lot of question marks about what's happening with emails. That said, I did email the commission yesterday. I've spoken with a number of you. We were looking for this very, very important role of the chairperson of the Urban Forestry Commission. And I'm delighted that Jennifer Chandler has expressed interest and has capacity to serve in this really important role. I wanted to read to you all, a lot of you know her already and she needs no introduction. However, I will share Jennifer's biography with you all. Oh, go ahead, Jennifer.
There's a slide.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, under new business is the position updates and then voting for the new,
Oh, you added it there?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, under new business.
All right, so we're gonna do it under new business?
As chair, conduct the meeting in the order that deemed be necessary.
Okay, great. So we'll hold. We'll hold until we get to that part of the agenda, no problem. I did then want to mention, well, so just so everyone is aware, per our bylaws, the members of the commission vote in the chairperson. Other roles such as secretary and vice chair are named by the chair. But this is a function in which the members yourselves vote to establish our new chairperson. So it's great. Let's see, I also did want to mention, just as a reminder, that committee participation. So per not our bylaws, our rules and regulations, every member of the commission must participate on at least one subcommittee. And we'll be getting to that a little bit later in the agenda. But we currently have 3 subcommittees. We have maintenance, we have budget, and we have policy. And so all commission members, thank you, Sarah. All commission members shall serve on at least one subcommittee. So if you are not already plugged in to one of our subcommittees, please come see me, or please come see one of the subcommittee chairs to talk about your interests, or if you have questions about that subcommittee. All right. I think with that, we are moving to 4, which is approval of minutes. And we probably did not prep our new secretary for this part either.
I'll just go ahead and call a roll. Should we do, I guess, yeah, I'll just announce for all the yays, and then after that, I'll announce for the nays for the approval of minutes. So we'll move forward with approval of our last meeting's minutes. I believe everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes. So I'll go ahead and announce for all the yays to pass our last meeting's minutes.
Aye or
Should we
yay?
make a motion?
Yeah, make the motion.
Okay.
Right.
To approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
I second that motion.
Okay, thank you.
All right, now I'll announce for all those who for yay to pass last meeting's minutes.
All the ayes.
Hi.
Thanks. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, last meeting's minutes have passed.
Please have it.
Thank you.
Okay, 5.
Yes, we're on 5. Perfect.
Okay,
So we are going to swear in the new members. I believe Jennifer Kipp has the oath, and Commissioner
Yes.
Danielson.
Yep.
You do the honors.
Ryan and Sarah, if you want to join at the podium, Jenna. There.
All right, Ryan. Thank you for being here. Okay, so fairly straightforward. I'll leave it here so you can read, but I will ask you to repeat after me.
Okay.
I, Ryan Lopez,
I, Ryan Lopez,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the codified ordinances
and the codified ordinances
and the Charter of the City of Cleveland,
and the Charter of the City of Cleveland,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties of the Urban Forestry Commission
discharge the duties of the Urban Forestry Commission
of the City of Cleveland, State of Ohio,
of the City of Cleveland, State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Didn't have to pose last time. All right,
Sign it?
we do both need to sign.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Sign this. Hold on one second.
Gotta go first. Pay attention. Pay attention, you need to sign. So.
All right. This goes to Jennifer in a second.
I'll wait for the, no.
Perfect. All right. Sarah O'Keefe, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, if you can please repeat after me. I, Sarah O'Keefe,
I, Sarah O'Keefe,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the codified ordinances
and the codified ordinances,
and the Charter of the City of Cleveland,
and the Charter of the City of Cleveland,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties of the Urban Forestry Commission
discharge the duties of the Urban Forestry Commission
of the City of Cleveland, State of Ohio,
of the City of Cleveland, State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations. Both photos.
Smile. And thank you.
Oh, and
Thanks.
thank you. And you have to sign first. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry. It's fair.
That's okay.
I got 2 kids there now. Okay. Yeah, they take all my money. I gotta. Can't wait till it's over. My daughter's graduating in the spring and my youngest is a sophomore. Okay. They're both there, so that's what's cool. But-
You're getting good at it.
Huh?
I get
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Thanks, same to you.
Right, if we're ready to go back to the agenda.
Slide. New business.
Okay,
Next.
all right, I mixed it up just a little bit, but that's okay. I believe we've already provided our position updates.
Next slide. Okay, so this was covered.
This was covered. I mixed it up a little bit. All right, that's fine.
Now we can.
Yes, so this is an important act of members of the commission. We are going to call for a vote to select our new chair. And again, many of you know Jennifer and have already worked with her. However, I would like to share her biography with the members. Jennifer Chandler is passionate about neighborhoods, people, and the provision of safe and affordable housing. She joined the real estate development team at CHN Housing Partners in 2021 where she currently serves as the director. In her role, she provides guidance and support to project management staff and oversees a variety of developments funded through the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program, as well as comprising of single-family and multifamily housing, new construction and preservation projects, as well as family, senior, and permanent supportive housing. Jennifer began her career in affordable housing in 2018, working for the City of Cleveland in the Department of Community Development, where she awarded and administered home funding, tax abatement, and assisted in the disposition of city land bank properties for housing development. She serves on the board of the Ohio Women's Affordable Housing Network and the City of Cleveland's Urban Forestry Commission. Jennifer holds a Bachelor of Arts in Economic Development and a Master of Urban Planning and Development from Cleveland State University, where she also completed the Urban Geographic Information Systems Certificate Program. She has been a proud resident of the City of Cleveland since 2015, where she lives with her husband and their four-legged boss, Bonnie. I love that part. So Jennifer, before we call for a vote by the members, if there's anything you would like to share, you're most welcome to do so.
Thank you. This is just such an honor to be considered for this position. I've lived in Cleveland for 10 years. Trees have been a huge part of just my life. And, you know, as a planner, before I was a housing developer, this is really just something that I focused on was the preservation and planting of new trees, because I understand how important they are to environmental justice and, you know, air quality, walkability, neighborhood stability. And I know that as a developer, I might not be the most natural fit for this position because developers are the ones that cut down trees, right? But as a developer, I make every effort to preserve trees on all of our development sites. And as someone who's worked for the City of Cleveland and worked with the City of Cleveland, I think I'm uniquely positioned to help usher in the next era. So thanks, everyone.
That's great. Do any members of the commission have comments, questions before we proceed with a vote? Hey. So with that, Secretary Bay, would you mind just calling for a vote? We need to make a motion. So I can make that motion to call for a vote for our new chair of the Urban Forestry Commission to select Jennifer Chandler as our new chair.
Excuse me.
second.
I believe we might actually need somebody else to initiate the motion.
Take the motion. Okay.
I make a motion to call the vote for a new chair of the Urban Forestry Commission.
I
second the motion.
Okay. Janan is the first, and that was Jennifer Kipp. Just make sure. All right. And so, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And do we have any who oppose? Seeing none, congratulations. The motion is passed unanimously.
Very exciting. Okay. Great. Okay. I don't have our agenda in front of me, but this is where we are. Good. Okay. So we are welcoming the new Commissioner of Urban Forestry with us today. Commissioner, for your point of reference, this commission was formed by ordinance and has been very involved in advocacy and in the process that led to creating a new division of urban forestry. So I will refer to them as the bad old days. That's just my shorthand. But for a very, very long time, all of our city's urban forestry activities were subsumed under the Division of Parks, Maintenance and Properties, which was under Public Works, which is it was a mega department, just a huge department. And as a result, it was very difficult for decision makers, those involved in approving the city's budget, especially city council members, to have a handle on to what degree were we funding and supporting urban forestry activities in the city. So one of the actions this commission took was to advocate for a standalone division of urban forestry. The mayor agreed, city council agreed, and that all came together in our last budget cycle, culminating in having this division created and the brand new position of commissioner created. So this is a big day for us. We know it's a big day for you too, but this has been a long time coming, and this is pretty much a vision being realized. So we're all extremely excited to have you today. With your permission, I'll read your bio. And then just allow you to say anything you might wish to share with the members. And then I think we'll have time for a little Q&A as well if members have any questions. But is your last name pronounced Jubert? Yeah. Okay, great. So Phil Jubert brings over 2 decades of impactful experience in urban and woodland forestry management, business leadership, and organizational transformation to his role as the first Commissioner of Urban Forestry for the city of Cleveland. A Bachelor of Science graduate in Forest Management from the University of Minnesota, he combines academic insight with proven field expertise, highlighted by his nearly decade-long leadership of a large private tree service, an award-winning tree service that served 5 governmental organizations. Under his guidance, the company achieved annual triple-digit revenue growth, cultivated a collaborative team culture, and introduced innovative safety protocols that gained nationwide attention. As a dedicated industry advocate, Mr. Jubert has guided small tree service owners across North America, enhancing operations, safety standards, and employee development. Most recently, as city arborist for a densely populated DC metro area, he has trained staff and guided private vendors to achieve record results in tree planting and maintenance efficiency. An analytical thinker and author of the Think Like an Urban Forester newsletter on LinkedIn, he views trees as connectors of past and future, strengthening community ties. Guided by his motto, think big, act small, Mr. Jubert is committed to elevating the division into a global leader in urban forestry, delivering enduring benefits for Cleveland's residents, visitors, and employees. Residing in Mentor, Ohio with his wife and 2 sons, he enjoys chess, beach outings, and park hikes. Welcome and congratulations.
My family's life. I have 2 young kids, boys.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I have 2 young boys, an 11-year-old and a 1-year-old. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of chaos in that household. But yeah, we don't know much about Cleveland other than you guys have been very inviting. I'm from the Midwest, so this is kind of that same really welcoming feeling that we're used to. And I recognize the tree template. So I don't know the roads, but I recognize all the trees because these are kind of the tree species I've been working with for a very long time. Okay, so it's going to be a great teamwork and a collaborative environment. I'm really here to serve everyone here. This is kind of the brain trust for the city of Cleveland and really help implement your ideas. Of course, I can bring other ideas to the table, but I'm really here to serve all of you. I'm here to serve Jennifer. I'm here to serve my staff. I think that, I used to be a tree climber. I haven't climbed since 2014. I stopped climbing because I was in an accident. My son was 2 weeks old at the time. And, things like that happens. This is very tough work. And so it's green, it brings people together. We have a lot of events and with tree planting, but at the end of the day, it's one of the most hazardous professions. And the workforce is changing too. So I'm really going to focus, all of our ideas have to be kind of distilled into a streamlined and energized workforce, and they all understand the goal. So my main mission is that to make sure that every position that's allocated and the taxpayers are paying for is filled. Okay, so my number one job is to recruit and retain and make sure that you have teams out there that are highly trained. I'll work with Jen on that, but that's kind of my main goal. Of course, I'll help set with the vision and work with you guys in a lot of different ways. I'm coming in with 20 years of experience, so there's going to be a lot of assumptions I'm going to be making, but I want to be slow in those assumptions and really learn about Cleveland over the next year or so. I've been here 2 weeks. You have great food, great music, great history and culture. And before, I'll be honest, I thought is this flyover country? I don't know anything about Cleveland, but the second day I was here, we went to the playoff game 2 of the Guardians, and my son and I sat a couple rows over from where that home run was hit in the 8th inning, and the crowd just went crazy. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you. Kind of tearing up here, but thank you. But with that said, is there any questions? And we can kind of dive into a brief conversation. I want to be really respectful of your time today.
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to say,
Yeah.
I had the opportunity and privilege of speaking to Phil yesterday for about 90 minutes. We had it scheduled for probably just
Yeah,
half
15,
hour
yes.
or 15,
Yeah.
a quick check-in. How's your first day going? And so thank you so much for giving me that much of your time.
Yeah.
And I just immediately just felt so comfortable and got just such great vibes from you. And I'm so excited that you're here. Our team is very excited that you're here. We're ready for new ideas, new perspective, new leadership. And so I just want to say take off my commission hat and put on my urban forestry manager hat is that I am and our team, I can speak for our team, we are dedicated to supporting you and helping you be the most successful that you can be in your position.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you. I get worried when you hear you're adding more positions in the government ecosystem. Is that going to kind of create more gridlock? And, really here, we had a great conversation yesterday where I'm just another voice, and hopefully that can echo through the rest of the city and kind of, with council and mayor, to make sure that we have a really thriving organization. So that's how I kind of view it, just another voice, and we can make sure that echo really, is everywhere. Yes. Any other questions? Yeah, hey, sir.
I felt Sarah O'Keefe. Yes, good to see you. And just one question, what is something that you're really looking forward to in your role here in Cleveland?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And, when you become a government employee, you got to be an entrepreneur, right? I think is the term. I think that, there's a strong foundation here, right, that's been set by Jen and especially the last 12 years or so she's been here. I think though, but we're starting anew. We're kind of starting fresh. And when you think of forestry, mistakes aren't usually realized until 20 years later. Oh my gosh, we're thinking about chestnuts, we're thinking about elms, ash, but there's so many other different things. There's a lagging timeline of when mistakes are realized. And so, to kind of create this new division and start fresh, that's why I wanted opportunity to make sure that there's a strong foundation built. And, maybe I stay here 5 years, maybe I stay here 20 years, or maybe I retire here. But, I want to make sure that we really kind of set the standard from the very, very beginning. And so people can continue to kind of build off that success. So I think, it's a large city. That's something I wanted. I wanted a larger city. The city I came from, 160,000 people. They passed my second week on the job there. They passed zoning laws, which will make it the second most densely packed city in all of America by 2040. So I was dealing with those complex issues. But this is I think the 55th largest city or so, give or take, with population. But that's exciting. So it's starting something new, something fresh, and really help build with a lot of great people.
So I will frame my question with sharing that I had very little knowledge of urban forestry before I joined Cleveland City Council. And so I've learned on the job and I'm by no means an expert, but I've learned a tremendous amount. And I also want to thank you all for supporting my learning and growth as I've served on council and on the commission. So one thing that has been part of my learning is the idea of a life cycle for maintenance, if you will, for our urban forest, and that
Yeah.
there are essential interventions that trees need at certain points to remain healthy and to preserve mature tree canopy. Are you a bit familiar with the challenge we're facing now in Cleveland, which is that I think due to sort of unpredictable budget cycles over the
Yes.
years, we have a pretty big backlog when it comes to our maintenance activity, and we've done a lot to catch up. But do you have a sense of what a proper life cycle should be in terms of maintenance of the urban forest? And have you seen that from other places? Are there best practices that you'd like to implement?
You know, the backbone of any good urban forestry program is the maintenance. The press articles are going to be around tree planting, but they're not necessarily going to be on the survivability of that tree 3 to 5 years later. They might talk about a big storm went through and roads were blocked, but they're not going to talk and about the people that work on trees on a daily basis. It's not necessarily sexy part of our business, but it's the most important because we deal at kind of an industry of law of averages. So you want to make sure you're efficient. You want to make sure the prescriptions are correct. There's a lot of different ways to kind of carve up a good maintenance program. There's a lot of sister cities out there. City of Milwaukee, a lot of research comes out of City of Milwaukee for the rest of the nation and globe, and we're very similar in kind of the setup there that I really use. And being from the Twin Cities, I have strong connections to Milwaukee as well. But there's a lot of different ways you can kind of create a good maintenance program. Milwaukee, I think, says, hey, ideally you're trimming a tree, pruning a tree every 8 years or so. You can get a little more aggressive, of course. Maybe some sites don't need to be as aggressive. At the end of the day, we're dealing with different age classes, different species. We're also dealing with different, I would say, communication layers. I've seen models where it's trimming cycles are based off wards, zip codes, kind of broken down between right-of-ways and parks, based off age class. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. And I think that, one, we want to be as efficient as possible, but providing good quality. So I am aware of kind of the history, and I sympathize with Jen, because when you're buried in public works and there's a lot of uncertainty in budget, it really, this is a division that requires long-term planning and thinking. And when you have constant changes in budgets or uncertainty, it really prevents and stagnates a lot of different projects and initiatives. So it's, maintenance is it's so critical because it leads to forest aesthetics, tree health, public safety. Also, when we have crews that are up in the trees, they're looking at the trees from different angles that we are from the ground. And they're saying, hey, Phil, guess what? I'm finding structural defects up in the canopy that provide a risk, and you can't see that from the ground. So it's just another touch points. We have to increase the touch points for all the trees along their entire life cycle. Trees here in our urban environment, rule of thumb, let's just say they live 50% fewer years, especially in our right-of-ways, than their woodland natural counterparts. So how can we extend the life of those trees as well in proactive health plans? Plant health care is kind of a big component of a successful model. And that's something too I hope to really implement here is a good plant healthcare program across the city. So, but yeah, maintenance, if you aren't doing maintenance correctly, all of our special projects and grand thinking really, I don't think will take off or truly be successful if maintenance isn't really humming. But once you get maintenance going, it's almost kind of automated. And it just takes a lot of work to get there. Yeah. Good question. Any other questions?
I have another question, but I'm welcoming members of the.
Take it away, Chair.
Okay. I also wanted to mention, one thing that is, we've heard a lot about as commission members, and I believe you will too. And this is really helpful to have Commissioner Danielson in the room. A lot of residents are concerned about utility cuts. And perception of trees getting hacked or trees getting damaged by those. So not all maintenance activities are performed by the city of Cleveland. There are utility companies that come in and service our urban forest as well. So it's maybe not quite as much a question as a comment, but just curious if you're familiar with sort of the thoughts about just the general interaction between public utilities and urban forest, because it's definitely been, I think, a pain point when it comes to public relations, like relations between the community and the commission, is people see trees, utility cuts, and think a tree is damaged,
Yeah.
or it can be very shocking to them. So just curious if you have any thoughts about the relationship between utilities and tree cuts.
So I worked for Davie Resource Group 15 years ago on the utility side. They had me working around the country. And, one, they are kind of bound by law from the federal government on what those minimum pruning requirements have to be based off the voltage of the lines. So do they have to follow ANSI standards and best pruning practices? Yes, but they have a goal by law that they have to hit. And those laws were created based off the blackout in 2003. Does anyone remember that?
Oh, yes.
Wasn't it a tree in Ohio
I think so,
that hit a transmission line, then caused a blackout?
Yeah.
That triggered something big across the country. So NERC and FERC manage those, and they manage those monopolies and how they prune trees. Public trees can be touched by a lot of different types of vendors. They can be touched by our internal staff, our contracted staff, the utility companies, and that's the electrical, but that's also the communication lines, which usually tend to be more infrequent contracts they put out. And of course, homeowners can prune a city-owned tree if it's over their property line as well. So there's a lot of different parties involved in urban forestry on public trees, especially, indirectly. But I think just having a good relationship with the foresters at the utilities, we are additional eyes in the field as well. So when you kind of bridge that communication divide and call them like, hey, what went on there? I think you might have to remove that tree because you created a hazardous situation. But just having that open lines of communication, especially during storms as well, is just really, really important. But it will be a never-ending, I think, education awareness campaign because, yeah, it does create something unsightly. Although there are some species that can handle it relatively okay. And it's like, yes, it's an ugly tree, but it's a tree. And actually, the ugly canopy, there are roots underground that are providing services as well that we're just not looking at. So, that kind of requires more one-on-one conversations as someone calls us our office and we can discuss that with them. But usually I sympathize with the power companies because they really are constrained too in what they can and can't do. It's just, having that communication with them is really, really important.
I appreciate that answer about building the relationships and having the communication. And I think Commissioner Danielson, so talking about all the different parties who may touch trees, the utility companies don't necessarily have in-house staff doing the work either. It's often vendors doing those cuts. So,
Yeah.
so I,
There's a lot of layers there. There's the tree vendors for the utilities, and then there's auditors for the utilities typically, which might be DRG or other companies. So they have a team of people too. And usually with utilities, their communication is networks are complex. So once you get the phone numbers of the foresters for the utilities and the decision makers there, it's so hard to, or so important to hold on to those phone numbers to keep that communication line open. But it's, sometimes I think homeowners, when they call us, a big thing too is we're not licensed and qualified to work within certain approach distances of wires. You have to have special credentials for that typical commercial tree services just will never have for insurance requirements. So a lot of the times we have to work in concert and say, hey, we can't prune that tree or remove that tree until there's like a safety prune. And based off their schedule, that might take 3 months. So I think just setting expectations with the client, the taxpayer, is so important. And having that back channel communication on the back line is so important.
Commissioner Danielson, agree?
Just look forward to working with you. Definitely appreciate what you've said, and very much same as far as what we've found in terms of communication and helping with that education. I think one of the things that maybe hasn't come up yet is just we do have a declining forest canopy, right? So I think that's part of the motivation for the people in this room, and certainly our constituents who are every tree is precious sort of thing, especially some of the older trees that we might need to trim for utility purposes. So anyways, welcome and thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll step down and listen. If you're okay, I can stay the rest of the meeting here.
I think we have time for one more question if anyone else has one. Because you have one.
It's your last meeting, so you can.
Commissioner.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So from a utility standpoint, we're sewer,
Sure, yes.
water pollution is just a glorified name. We get a lot of calls from residents and I work with Jennifer a lot, so they want trees down
Yeah.
because they got roots going through their pipe and they got 3 feet of water in their basement.
Yeah.
So of course, me and her have worked together a lot on trying to educate the residents.
Yeah.
What is your goal or plan to really educate the residents on the importance of this tree canopy?
Yeah. So tree canopy in terms of like roots and sewer conflicts, or just tree canopy in general?
I would say both, because I mean, unfortunately, it's the nature of the business, especially so like from our standpoint, we can't work on private property. We work the right of way, but the city can go plant a tree on the tree lawn. So there's always seems to be some conflict, as if we as water pollution is trying to pass the buck to Jennifer, because we're also, and we had the meeting and really strategize that, right? Because our customers.
With the literature.
Yes, the literature, because our customer service, we're so prone to say, well, you need to contact urban forestry.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we finally had to come together, but there's still like, it seems like just a lack of I don't want to say ignorance because it's not a good word to use, but just a lack of knowledge of the importance of both, really.
Yeah. I mean, the education campaigns are always endless. But the communication campaigns that will continue to develop over time really depends on who you're communicating with and how broad that audience is. One thing you guys do especially well already is you can reference sewer and root conflicts on your website. Most cities don't even do that because it's kind of, legal issues and want to stay away from it. But you already have some place to point to. Tree care. We're kind of like a private business in a way. And the residents treat us kind of like a business. Like, hey, I just had this tree pruned by Bartlett Tree in the backyard. Superior customer service. But why can't you be the same way like Bartlett on your tree lawn or in your parks? Actually, I think we should emulate the private sector more. For example, the city of Baltimore, they have a complete separate webpage on their entire forestry department, which has allowed them to highlight so many more of the nuances and reference material, but also have a much more thorough and complex department overall. So they have something more standalone where now they got 18 different pages of resources and they can point people to. But really the communication campaign has to be dependent on who's our audience, what's the problem, and we can kind of have those proper conversations in that manner. Tree canopy, this is a brainstorming commission where we can have a little more nuanced conversations. Having a tree canopy goal is obviously, I think, important. It's correlated to a lot of other different benefits. We do have to recognize that tree canopy benchmarks, American Forest created that benchmark in 1997, and then they said in 2017, don't do that anymore. But a lot of cities have kind of forgotten about that, and they have still ran with these kind of benchmarks for canopy. It's a good standard to have. Any forester wants a growing canopy, but we also don't want to neglect maintenance. We also don't want to neglect the health of a forest. Like, how do you capture health of a forest? That's really tough to do. We don't want to, neglect all these other different signals that might indicate, is our forest thriving? There's new standards that have come out now for canopy goals. One of the great ones, which was developed overseas, was really they adopted, can every person see 3 trees from their house? They added that into a canopy percentage, for example. And, we might need to look at that over time. But I have seen a lot of, there's a concept called Goodhart's Law. Has anyone heard that in finance? It's, once you develop a metric, it ceases to become a good metric right away. That's a little, I'm speaking hyperbole there, but it's because people find shortcuts and people try to game the decision. When I go into cities, it's, hey, in order to increase the canopy, we need $10 million, I guess, to plant 100,000 trees every year. How do we do that? It's like, well, listen, let's really break this down to what we need. But right now there's a huge story going on in Perth, Australia. They have 14% canopy coverage, trying to get to 30% by 2040. Sounds very familiar, right? And they just changed how they calculate canopy percentage. So overnight, their canopy percentage went from 14 to 22%. And so, canopy percentage is a good metric to have, but I look at it as a practitioner, and you can look at things a little more nuanced as a more barometer rather than kind of this hard number. Of course, you get 10 different contractors, you might get 10 different numbers too. So I think fundamentally we're all in this room because we want the canopy to grow. I think that's might be good enough, but we can kind of look at canopy kind of KPIs and metrics and how we communicate that as a team to the public over time. But so I'm going to kind of bring that contrarian maybe voice to the body. I am a contrarian at heart. But that's how I kind of look at canopy. It's a good metric, but I think we can get smarter. And I think we can have those more nuanced conversations with the public at large. Something I'm a big supporter of is there's a new SFI standard out there, the Sustainable Forestry Initiative, which typically certifies logging, make sure there's sustainable harvesting going on. They've created a new standard to make sure that communities and cities at large they have sustainable and robust city forestry programs. And you have to get certified. You have to hit 16 key objectives. And I really like that standard because it increases transparency. You have to bring in third-party auditors every 5 years, and they have to verify, are you hitting those metrics? Are you doing what you tell the public? So there's just, there's a lot of opportunity there. I see you here with Cleveland, and then we can kind of use those new credentials to communicate with the public. But canopy is going to be probably discussed in every single meeting, and that's good. But we can look at it from a nuanced perspective as well.
Okay, thank you. Please feel free to
Sure.
continue to hang out for the rest of the meeting if you'd like, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, committee updates. Dan, would you like to start?
Yes, I will. So the committee I head up is the maintenance committee. So thank you for talking so much about maintenance because near and dear to our hearts. So last meeting, what we talked about is that we discussed that there were basically two initiatives that we felt that we needed to kind of initiate to improve the tree maintenance in the city of Cleveland and what we thought that we can control. Like we can't control pruning trees that are 35 feet high. So our focus was really on younger trees planted within the first 5 years. So we thought that's something that we could positively influence. So the two approaches was utilizing tree volunteer like advocates or tree ambassadors, people who are trained, kind of like myself and Laura and others, to really focus on young trees in the first 5 years and make sure they're getting some of the care that they need. Really another set of eyes. Another approach, and you talked about this, is about communication. And that was Janan, in terms of what she kind of brought to the table, was really how do we improve the maintenance and success rate of trees that are planted in our by the city of Cleveland. They really utilize the residents to help water and properly mulch. So those are kind of like the two big initiatives. So this is kind of a little bit of an update. We had one meeting during the quarter, one official meeting during the quarter, but we had a lot of emails and conversations and other meetings between really all of us to really come up with an approach, which I'll share today. So regarding urban forestry, so Jennifer at our last meeting talked about how the city, through yourself or partners, I don't know the details, but there's going to be 450 trees planted. So there's a real need for tree maintenance for younger trees. Now, in the past, the city used like a door hanger, like a flyer, make sure you water, make sure you mulch, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the approach. Now the good news is, and Jennifer, you can add to this when we're done, but so it used to be a 1 year an agreement to maintain the trees by whoever planted it is now a 2 year. So that's a real improvement compared to what we had in the past. I mean, my personal experience is that the trees would get planted, and then I would talk to homeowners, and they didn't have any idea how important it was to water the tree for at least the first 2 years. They had no idea. And then like literally like last week, I went from the West Side Market down to Lakewood, and I was going down West 45th Street, and there was a tree that was planted. I could tell it was planted by the city. It was right tree, right place. But the tree tie was literally choking the tree. So I went ahead and removed it. But that's not a systematic approach. So what we need in the future is really a systematic approach. And then the best practice is Western Reserve Land Conservancy, and Tom isn't here, he's on the committee. But they water the trees for the first 3 years, and they manage the trees for the first 6 years. So maybe that's too much. So our committee's new approach is really empower the residents and community to support the health of newly planted trees. So in some areas, we call them like tree ambassadors or tree keepers. And then we have Old Slavic Village does this, Old Brooklyn does this, and they do it well and they have success. It's a great kind of model to follow. So the approach is to water, mulch, stake, maybe remove stakes, oversight, pruned in the future, and within the first 5 years. So the first 2 years will be basically managed by the city. We're grateful for that, but there's so many trees that still need to be touched. And we would like to have, and honestly, so the initial approach is really a test of concept. And I was going to work in a couple of communities on the west side of Cleveland. Laura's going to help out in a couple of communities over on the east side. And we're going to trial this. And we had discussions with Jennifer, and Jennifer's supportive. We've had discussions with Sarah, and she's supportive. And so we do believe in Western Reserve, so we think we have some buy-in from various organizations and people to test the concept. So that's really the approach that we want to use. And so really the next quarter will be really finalizing that. How do we implement it? There's always the devil's in the details, but we think we can get there. And then Janan, what she really brought to the table was really this need to communicate more with the residents. And so we're having a meeting on Monday with Billy Lyons, and he's a social media strategist for the city of Cleveland. And he's open enough to have a meeting. Janan emailed him within like a day, sure, when you want to meet. And we're meeting next Monday. So hopefully we can leverage the city and in terms of communication, either through maybe email or whatever the means is, so we can better educate the community about the needs of the maintenance committee, but it's really related to the success of planting trees. So that's my report. I think it was a really good quarter for us in terms of discussion. And I think we have a really good plan moving forward, and we hope we can make a difference. Any comments you want to make, or anybody else who's on the committee?
Can I just make one comment? I was also in that meeting. Thank you, Dan. So just when we have the approach finalized at the committee level, you're going to propose it to the commission level as a recommendation so that the commission can entertain it as a recommendation to the city.
Okay.
Yes, I heard you say that, Sarah, and I'd actually like to schedule a cup of tea or something to get exactly what you recommend that we have ready for city council, because you mentioned bullet points, and I tend to be a person who writes a very wordy report. So
yes, and this would be a recommendation from the committee to this commission.
right.
And then the commission would vote to make this is an advisory commission.
I understand.
So absolutely, let's do that. Okay. Let's chat about what that could look like.
That would be great. Okay, thank you.
And I just want to name the additional partners in the room. Thank you, Sarah. So the maintenance committee is also, for the pilot program, you're still kind of fleshing out the details.
Correct.
And you're working with Sarah Tilley to kind of organize that plan. And then, so it'll be a partnership between the city, right? If this body decides to vote to advance it as a recommendation to the city, and then potential implementation in spring 2026. So it's Cleveland Tree Coalition supporting it, the city supporting it because it's our street trees, the new trees, and we would provide the data about where those trees are. And then lastly,
Western Reserve,
the maintenance committee.
but also Western Reserve Land Conservancy, because they would provide the training on how to do this the right way.
So that would probably be part of the plan that I think
Yes.
you're working on with Sarah. Sarah, do you have anything that you want to add?
Nope, I think between all the Jens and Sarahs, we covered it.
Nice. Okay.
No, Tom Schreiber is absent today. He did send a written update, which I will share on his behalf. So Tom Schreiber is our policy committee chair. The policy committee met on September 10th. The agenda remained focused on the topic of conflicts that can arise between tree lawn trees and sidewalks that are being replaced in accordance with public right-of-way accessibility guidelines, AKA PROWAG. So one thing that was discussed during the meeting were examples of sidewalks that are ProWag compliant and which were modified to preserve tree lawn trees. And they happen to be examples from my ward, from Ward 15. So the committee was very grateful and appreciative to see that the city's Office of Capital Projects is already taking measures to preserve trees when replacing sidewalks. And a lot of what that amounts to is narrowing the width of the sidewalk and a curve around the roots of the tree to preserve the tree when you're replacing sidewalk. So those examples follow national best practices for tree sidewalk conflict mitigation. And again, committee members expressed appreciation for Urban Forestry Division and Capital Projects for working together on that. So the committee continued to map and chart conditions that could require the removal of trees that qualify as significant natural features under the guidelines and be eligible for exceptions. So that is sort of where the committee discussion still stands is, are there exceptions to ProWag where if a tree is designated as a significant natural feature, that a sidewalk can be less than 3 feet in width? So the next steps are to document in detail the conditions that might make a tree eligible as a significant natural feature. And the committee will continue to discuss at the next meeting on November 12th. Anyone else from the policy committee wishing to chime in on anything there?
Yes, I'd like to speak on that. So just to clarify, ProWag does allow for exceptions. And I think what we need to do as a policy committee is come up with how we define a tree as a significant natural feature to then enact and document that exception to the 4-foot sidewalk width. And just for the record, the sidewalk reduction down to a minimum of 4 feet, the curving that you witnessed in your ward, that's a program that I brought to the city in 2014. And so that's been a tool in our toolbox for the last 10 plus years. And so now we're exploring, like, we need some other tools in our toolbox because that's not, accomplishing the goal of preserving canopy during sidewalk construction for all of our mature trees. And we do have the pilot of the porous flexible pavement, which we're continuing to, the division is continuing to recommend since the tree damaged sidewalk is it's going to be wrapping up before Halloween, but I actually have a site visit tomorrow in Kensington, a street with all mature oak trees. And so we're looking for alternate options there.
And one thing I realized that Tom left out of, or we didn't include in this quick summary, is that the city also has another tool in its toolbox that it has been using, which is easements. So thank you for flagging that policy that's been in place since 2014 of curving sidewalks. The city has been successful in some cases of getting a private owner to grant an easement to allow a sidewalk to actually encroach on their private property to preserve the tree. I think another thing the committee discussed was that process, and that there could be a role for the committee in actually making that process more robust. So I think the idea of having an exception to ProWag and a non-compliant sidewalk would be the last resort, but with the goal of, if a tree is a significant natural feature, to preserve it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. And then now you're reminding me of another point of discussion, right? Is because we do have those other tools in our toolbox, but then the committee also needs to look at in what order do we pull those tools out?
Right.
So,
exactly.
Okay. That's all I have. Thanks.
All right. And I will provide a budget committee update. The committee met on August 12th, and we heard a presentation on tree permit fee analysis from Giuseppe Lovett-Nava, who was an intern in the Office of Sustainability this summer, along with Kate Stanley, who is here in the room with us today. So Kate is with the Division of Urban Forestry, and Kate, thank you so much for supporting that. So the budget committee was presented with research from other cities about potential best practices to implement to incorporate more fees into our urban forestry workflow in order to increase income for our urban forestry activities. So really appreciated that presentation. And then as outgoing chair, between our August 12th meeting and today, I worked to prepare a memo that really summarizes our committee's work and makes recommendations to the Director of Parks and Recreation and to our new Commissioner of Urban Forestry. So that summary was really meant to kind of bring everyone up to speed on what the committee has worked on to date, as well as to provide a roadmap for the committee going forward. So as the committee now will be chaired by Sarah Tilley, wanted to all be on the same page about what next steps look like for the committee members. So I really, really would like to thank the members of the committee. A lot of you provided fantastic edits and feedback on that memo. The memo, as well as the presentation prepared by Kate and Giuseppe, are both uploaded to our budget subcommittee folder, so they're available for all to review if you would like. And certainly, Commissioner, I would welcome you if you'd like to. We didn't have your email address yet, but we can re-forward it to you, and just so you are kind of aware of what the budget committee has recommended. So any budget committee members wishing to add to that?
I just wanted to say thank you to you, Chair Spencer, for your leadership in the budget committee, and then also putting together a very robust, comprehensive, and thoughtful memo to the director. So I very much appreciate your work.
Good, thank you.
It was very nicely done.
Great. All right. I think we can go to the next slide.
Okay, great. So here's what the Division of Urban Forestry is going to, we have coming up in the last quarter of the year. We have track training for a forester in November. I just completed my track renewal course actually on September 29th. It was a virtual class, I guess the last virtual renewal class that's ever going to be offered by ISA. So then I also have to schedule the exam through ISA. So I haven't passed yet. I've got to take the tests, but I'll keep everyone posted. Then our oak pruning season, I think most of you already know, that begins in November, depending on weather, and continues through March, again, depending on weather. We're going to have our contractor. They committed to deploying 7 pruning crews. They have never had 7 pruning crews deployed to the city of Cleveland to do pruning. So very excited that we've been able to kind of rally the troops to get some pruning done. Our goal is about 1,300 more trees over the winter, and most of them oak trees. And those are mostly like large oak trees. So we're talking about some really important preservation, pruning, and deadwood pruning. We have our Acela permitting and testing phase. I think we had Kate Warren back, I think in 2024, kind of give us an overview of what that's going to look like. So it is moving along behind the scenes, and urban forestry is going to be a part of those workflows in the Acela permitting program. So I will get flagged to review various projects, and looking forward to, seeing that implemented. Our fall planting program, Dan mentioned, so we're using our contract, and then we also have council funds from Jenny Spencer and council funds from Carrie McCormack to plant and establish 365 trees. Those locations were selected based on resident request. So a resident called our office and said, please, 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 can I have a new tree? And so we're really excited that we're matching those trees with the residents who want them, and will hopefully take good care of them and help them become established. So taking that, coupling it with, Janon's work and getting the word out through social media, we're hoping for a very successful program. And then we're also super excited. This is the first time we are going to test out biochar as a soil amendment along Payne Avenue. So there's a Payne Avenue roadway project that's wrapping up, and we have the opportunity to plant, I think, between 50 and 70 trees along Payne Avenue. We sourced the biochar from Riddell Foundation, and the beauty of it is that they make biochar from urban forestry wood chips. So that is one of our offloading sites, and they use our wood chips. So it's like circular economy, right? Yeah. So that's definitely links also to the mayor's initiatives and Director O'Keefe's initiatives in sustainability. So I am not an expert on biochar. Maybe Phil, I could tap you to speak more on it. But what I understand is that, you know, it retains nutrients in the soil. It's a carbon sink, so it actually absorbs atmospheric carbon into the soil. And when I've talked to counterparts in other cities, they've seen, you know, establishment and tree health directly impacted in a positive way from biochar. It's best, I guess, to let the biochar incorporate it into the soil and let it sit and kind of do its thing. We don't have time on our side, unfortunately, but we'll see. We'll monitor it over, you know, year over year to see how it goes. So, Phil, did you want to add anything about biochar? Not to put you on the spot, but put you on the spot.
It's, you know, to really
Oh, yeah,
summarize, to really summarize, we want to try to mimic a forest floor. I think that's the best way to put it. So, you know, we don't fertilize trees typically during the establishment period. In fact, we should really never have to fertilize urban trees. It's kind of a myth, or a placebo maybe. Sometimes it can even cause damage, but definitely those first 3 to 5 years of establishment, what can we do? And one of these concepts is to mimic a forested floor where trees naturally last longer. Of course, that's, I think a big part of that is just the oxygen that gets to the root systems. That's big. But biochar, we're kind of adding, we're adding carbon to the forest floor instead of just, we don't want people to add compost. I mean, sure, go ahead. But obviously that would impact the aesthetics too. We're talking about thousands of trees on the right of way. So, you know, we want to encourage people not to throw their leaves and banana peels at the base of our trees. But so biochar is kind of, you know, that's what it's attempting to do. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to impact different tree species differently. But at the end of the day, you know, proper planting practices, that's going to be really the most important thing for a successful gun tree program. But it's relatively inexpensive biochar, so it's not a chemical that we're putting into the ground. So for the low expense of it, let's see how it works out.
Jennifer, if I may,
Oh,
I know
yeah.
that Dan mentioned it briefly, but could you quickly update the commission members on the new maintenance contract that includes, or planting
Oh.
contract that includes a maintenance component, because that's brand new and I think I really want to applaud you
Oh,
for
yeah.
implementing that.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think Dan mentioned, yeah, our contract includes a 2-year warranty, right? So what that means, we'll start there, means the contractor who plants the trees has to water, mulch, adjust deer guards, stakes, you know, for 2 years. Until they receive final payment. And then the contract also includes a bid schedule that extends. So we could also enter into an agreement with them, issue more funding for all of these 365 trees, that after that warranty period is over, then pay them to start the annual maintenance, continue the annual maintenance. You know, and it's basically per year. So we can continue it as long as it continues to be in the contract. And again, it's like the watering and the mulching.
So if I'm not mistaken, what we've had currently is a 1-year warranty where the vendors come and planted a tree, a 2-year warranty, but without maintenance. So that's the change, is that the watering and the mulching and the staking is now included when it was not previously. Is that?
It was always included in the 2-year warranty. So the contractor is responsible for maintaining those trees during the warranty period, throughout the warranty period, by mulching and watering, weeding, removing stakes, etc. So once that 2-year period is over, you know, we know that it takes more than 2 years for a tree to become established in our urban forest. closer to 5 years. I would even argue 7, especially because of the weather and the dry summer that we've had here. So that the bid schedule in the new contract, there's a new bid schedule in the new contract where we can pay the vendor then to go back to water and mulch in year 3, in year 4, in year 5, in year 6, in year 7.
And the old contract we had though, there was only a 1-year warranty required. Is that accurate?
There was 2. It was
was
2.
2.
It was 1 maybe 5 years ago, and then I moved it to 2.
Okay, had been 2. Okay. Okay, well,
Is it clear as mud now?
Notwithstanding that, all right, good.
Okay.
So-
Next. Oh, are we good to move on to the next
We're good to
slide?
move on.
Okay, so we've got some grant updates. Next slide, Britt. Thank you. Okay, so this is our U.S. Forest Service grant, $3.4 million. Here we've got Davie Resource Group. I believe we announced this at the last meeting. They have been selected as the consultant to conduct the inventory and the urban forestry management plan. We have a kickoff meeting scheduled for late October and looking forward. So glad that Commissioner Joubert is on because he will be attending. Opportunity Corridor, this is going to be probably Commissioner Joubert and I, our first field visit where we drive down Opportunity Corridor and definitely want commissioners' input on the RFP for how to revitalize that corridor, specifically the tree canopy. So that's where we are with that, and I will hope to get that on the calendar with Commissioner. We have our sub-awards underway with the Cleveland Tree Coalition, the county, and the Metro Parks. And then so far, under the grant, we've pruned 1,051 trees using the grant funding. Any questions?
Congratulations on being able to use those funds. This is just a huge deal. I don't know if anybody knows this, if maybe may not recall, but this is part of the Inflation Reduction Act that was not canceled or pulled back. We did have a contract for this grant in place, but that hasn't stopped other grants, the contracts in place from being withdrawn. So this is a really big deal. So congratulations for the good management of this grant and on your part and on the maintenance of over 1,000 trees.
Yeah, Jen, I just wanted to follow up. I know I sent an email many months ago about some thoughts on Opportunity Corridor. So I just want to make sure those are, still considered because I think they're still relevant. So if you want to follow up on that, we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to talk to you offline about that. Thanks, Janan. Any other questions, comments? Okay, next slide. I think it's time for public comment.
Yes. May I have the public comment sign-ins, please? Thank you so much, Brittany. Thank you. Great. So per our rules and regulations, each public commenter is allowed 3 minutes for comment. And first up, we have Mira Cardenas. Please approach the podium when you're ready.
Chair Spencer, I will be the time
Thank you.
tracker.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Mira Cardenas. I reside at 3063 West 14th Street. Thank you very much for your time today. We are all here because we care about trees. We appreciate their shelter, their cooling nature, and we know how a complete tree canopy benefits the urban environment and our mental and physical health. That is the source of my frustration, anger, and helplessness today. I passed out to you pictures of the 100-year-old sycamore on my tree lawn on West 14th Street, and Councilwoman Spencer had no previous knowledge of my public comment intents today when she asked her questions. On September 18th, I returned home to discover all but 2 branches of the 80-foot high tree sheared off by what was classified to me as an emergency order from CPP performed by Van Kuren Tree Services, an emergency order in September. And as you look at these pictures, I ask you to consider, is this work acceptable? After the shock, anger, and some semi-private ranting passed, I viewed the July 8th recording from this commission, specifically the agenda on tree trimming, learning that the utility line tree cutting is supposed to, quote, guide the tree and its growth away from the wires. So when you look at these pictures, is to you that what happened in this case, when every branch, including those overhanging my yard and the sidewalk, were moved? It seems excessive and needlessly aggressive. All of your guidelines and criteria end with a guy in a bucket truck with a chainsaw. I could say a lot more about the costs that I will bear over the next couple of years as this tree struggles to leaf out. In the interest of time, I will acknowledge that nothing that I say here today can repair the damage done to that tree or to my peace of mind. So what do I ask of you all? I'm well aware of the effort to plant and steward new trees, as mentioned today. However, more must be done to protect the tree canopy that already exists. I have 3 requests of this commission. First, better oversight and accountability for street tree trimming. Contract crews like Van Kuren need to be better monitored, and if this is not acceptable work, please coordinate with CPP on future contracts and actively monitor the work done to the tree canopy. Second, communicate with your fellow citizens. This is a constant source of anxiety for homeowners. We should be made aware of intended activity and provided information that helps us to be better informed. I cannot advocate for myself in this instance, and it took me a day, and I feel that I'm pretty savvy to get an email out to the commission. And third, work with homeowners on mitigation when they lose a street tree. Even though this tree is not gone yet, it's a loss to me and my sense of well-being, a breach of trust with the city that is supposed to support and protect its citizens. What can you offer to mitigate this damage? Can you consult with me on what's acceptable trees I can plant on my property? And can you turn some attention to what is now a barren intersection? How are you going to advocate and represent the interests of property owners now faced with rising taxes and maintenance costs due to the loss of tree canopy? I hope you take this feedback in the spirit as intended for rebuilding a more vibrant and greener city where we all can prosper. Thank you for your time and thank you for your mostly volunteer service.
Thank you very much. Our next public comment is from Michael Armstrong.
I assume this is on?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Good afternoon, commission members. Would you support or do you support the elimination of Cleveland's tree preservation plan requirements? That process to eliminate Cleveland's tree preservation requirements has begun, and the Urban Forestry Commission has missed it. In 2024, he reviewed Ordinance 347, 2024, I think I have the number wrong there, but the new form-based code, FBC, its provisions pertaining to trees. As a result, some technical details were proposed, revised, and amended into the ordinance. With Mayor Bibb's full support, this new zoning was passed by City Council and took effect in July of last year in parts of Cleveland's Detroit Shoreway, Cadell, Slavic Village, Huff, and Opportunity Corridor neighborhoods. And it is in effect on my residential street in Cadell. Presently, a medical establishment is constructing an addition on Detroit Avenue and moving their parking lot onto 2 residential parcels on my street onto their 1.24 acre development site. A couple large trees have been removed from the parking lot plus 4 or 5 mature trees later. While researching whether this new parking lot is allowed, I could not find any evidence of a tree plan submission. On examination of the new form-based code zoning, I discovered that it completely eliminated all tree preservation plan requirements for developments on sites over 1 acre. So how does form-based code do this? The form-based code ordinance says Title 7A FBC shall supersede the provisions of Title 7, the city's current zoning code, except where specific reference is made to the provisions of Title 7, the current zoning code, in Title 7A, form-based code. Since there are no specific references to the tree plan requirements in FBC, the Title 7 chapter sections are eliminated. They are 341.51, 52, and 53. In fairness, FBC codified some tree planting. Some developments will be required to plant new street trees at no expense to the city, requirements to plant trees in parking lots and some building sites. And it also said the code's intent is to promote the preservation and enhancement of the city's tree canopy. And that's where it all goes wrong. All provisions to preserve the city's tree canopy are gone. And this is really important because last week, Mayor Bibb, in an Axios article, said he intends to expand form-based code into the rest of Cleveland by 2027. So all our city's tree protection plans could be eliminated.
I'm sorry, that's time.
Thank you very much, Michael. We did receive one online public comment from Christopher Buchanan on September 22nd. Dear Tree Commissioner, several months ago, Dan Whelan, the developer of a block-long apartment complex on West 26th Street between Chatham and Monroe, presented a tree plan that was approved. At the time, we were unaware of this presentation or we would have been there. That was before CPP insisted that the duct bank run along the developer's west property line. As a result of this decision, 4 or 5 very mature trees that could have been saved are about to be taken down. Some small new trees will be planted elsewhere on the property. It may be too late, but I would hope you or someone on your staff might look into this and explore with CPP other alternatives such as running the duct bank under Hancock Street to West 28th. So I will be, as part of my transition as the outgoing chair and helping to support Jennifer as she assumes the role of chair. Our relationship to public comment is an important function of this commission. So thank you very much for those who came for in-person comment and to those who submitted online comment. Okay. We are at 5:28 p.m.
Closing remarks.
Closing remarks are simply, again, it's been such a pleasure to serve. And if I can be helpful to any folks in this room as we transition into new roles and responsibilities, I am glad to do so. Even once I depart council, I will continue to be a supporter of your work, and I know we'll stay in touch. And I think we're going to have Roger again here for a photo in just a couple of minutes. And we are at 5:29 p.m. So if there is anyone here who would like to make a motion to formally adjourn our meeting today.
So moved.
We have a
I second that motion.
Great. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any who oppose? All right. Motion passes.
All right. Our quarterly meeting is adjourned at 5:29 p.m. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
Stop.